Hello, friends. I'm DJ Lance Rock, and I have to say, Rock and Roll Grad School is awesome!
This is Rock and Roll Grad School with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling. Take our hands, we're off to Never Never Land.
Hello, kiddies. We're going to have a real good time together. We are talking, this is our last episode celebrating everything that is the Summit Music Fest.
Yes,
And
but not our last episode.
No. Oh, heaven forbid.
And our last episode this year celebrating.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying all of these things. I did not.
You're welcome.
We are talking with McIntyre and Legare, I believe is how you say it. Singer-songwriter duo. Really interesting interview. You will have to listen to it. No shade.
Hey, I did some of these by myself.
This is true. But it's a lovely conversation. Very interesting.
That's what keeps the show good for us, is to be able to listen to some and as listeners.
Yeah, let the mystery be.
Right.
A few things to go over. I think we got 2 nominees for this year's Dink of the Year award.
Who do we have? I thought we were up to 2 already.
I think we are, but I think these are 2 good ones. So first
So
one,
2 more. So now we're going to have
additional. Yeah.
Wow, we almost have a real category.
We
We
really
should
do.
actually ask for votes.
So this first one, I think, is more of it's an honor just to be nominated kind of thing.
Okay.
And we are not a political show, as you know.
No.
But Colorado Rep. Lauren Boebert, I don't know if you saw this.
Oh, I sort of half saw it, but yes.
So she and her male companion were kicked out of a performance of Beetlejuice.
Yes.
For vaping, dancing, singing, videoing. Now, a couple of things. One, she said originally that the only thing she was guilty of was having a good time. She did not vape or take pictures, which was a great excuse until the video came out of her doing exactly those things.
Of course, yes.
Now, she did not apologize for playing grab ass in the theater, which I feel like that gets us to the side.
Right.
This is what you do. It's dark.
Right. It's the theater. Yeah.
Seated theater, I would understand if it was a concert of songs,
True.
standing up and having a great time.
Yes.
But again, you have to follow the rules of the audience around you.
Well, right. It's a different kind of party.
Right. Again, set this aside, not Dink of the Year worthy.
Well, I mean, I see why it's a pleasure to be nominated, because I mean, she needs a Lifetime Achievement Award, but go ahead.
So those 2 things, annoying, not cool, not Dink worthy.
Right. Not uncommon.
Right. One, vaping when no one else is doing anything. Big Dink move.
Yeah.
Especially, apparently, it was in front of a pregnant woman who asked her to stop, and she turned around and gave her some sort of look of like, you can't tell me what to do.
Oh, dear Lord.
Also, again, complete aside, she threw out a "Do you know who I am?" when they were escorting her out.
Of course.
Here is the thing that, for me, Dink move.
Yes.
Flash photography in a darkened theater. Dink
Not
move.
good.
And then videoing most of the show.
Double Dink move, yeah.
Because you will never watch that. We've discussed on this program before shows we have seen where the person standing in front of me at Blondie filmed the entire thing. He filmed it horizontally, so it's going to look like hell.
Yes.
But there's no way you're going to watch an hour and a half of you jumping up and down, trying to keep your camera focused solely on Debbie Harry and the rest of the band.
Right.
Take a lead.
Right.
So, but I just think, again, honored to be nominated.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of all the things
that she does.
Exactly.
Not political.
Not political.
Just the things she does, just day to day, good, bad, or indifferent.
So the other one that I think definitely falls under the this one is, I think it's a legit honor. and well deserved.
Okay.
Jan Wenner.
Yes.
So he, over the weekend, was removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's board of directors. So he has a new book coming out called The Masters, which really should be called My Good Friends.
Well, okay, but
It's a collection of interviews with Dylan, Jerry Garcia, Mick Jagger, John Lennon, Bruce Springsteen, Pete Townsend, and Bono.
but they're also the masters.
They are.
Or were
And
you saying they should be are good friends?
they should be.
Yes.
And then we will definitely call them masters.
Right.
But in an interview with the New York Times, they asked him about this list and pointed out the fact that they were all white males.
Yes. They were an average white band.
It very much average white band. And so he responded saying that the selection was intuitive, which is interesting because nowhere along the line of putting this book together was like, Jan, quick question.
Right. Like nobody
No
else
one
brought this up.
Right.
I mean, they all absolutely deserve to be in the book, but there should be additional people in the book.
Yes. I think you could put 3, 4, if not 7 other chapters.
You could put Niall in that book.
I was going to say, I think of all the folks you could throw Niall in there. But he stated that it was intuitive.
You could put Patti Smith in there.
Oh, that would be a great one. But he then followed that up by saying, quote, none of the female artists he encountered during his time at Rolling Stone were, quote, articulate enough
I missed this
to be included in such a book. And the reporter, hearing the words coming out of his mouth, said, do you want to rephrase that? Do you want to try that one again? And he basically doubles down. It's not that they're inarticulate, although go have a deep conversation with Grace Slick or Janis Joplin. Please be my guest. You know, Joni was not a philosopher of rock and roll. She didn't, in my mind, meet that test. Not by her work, not by other interviews she did. And then, of Black artists, you know, Stevie Wonder, genius, right? I suppose when you use a word as broad as masters, the fault is using that word. Maybe Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield? Question mark. I mean, they just didn't articulate at that level. So
he's terrible.
The bar has been raised, Lauren Boebert. So don't even bother writing a speech.
Yeah.
Just be prepared to be shown in that box of the nominees and clap when anyone else's name is read.
Right. Smile, forced smile.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I just love the fact that it's one of those interviews where the reporter tries to do the right thing and says, like, let's wait a second here.
Right.
Let's
think that through.
Yep.
Right.
I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to catch you in anything.
Of course.
No. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, just catch away.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how long have you guys been together as a group? Because you both have had other bands and done other stuff without the other one.
Well, I think it's been a long, meandering story.
It's hard to know when was the beginning, you know, like, because we've kind of been writing music together for a while and just, you know, helping each other write our own songs and just, you know, having a helpful ear to guide us, you know, and then
we really and we started recording stuff probably 2018 or so.
Sounds about right.
So a couple of those songs survived, not all of those. I would hope that my songs are a little bit better when I'm 23 than when I was 18, and that has been the case. And then some of them we've just kind of updated, but that's kind of the like the genesis of where we're starting everything and kind of the sound that we're trying to improve on right now.
So you both started as that sort of musical ear you could trust for the other one to go, what do you think about this? Am I going somewhere interesting? What was that moment when you both kind of looked at each other and like, we could just join up and do this together and combine the voices and all of that.
Yeah, I think it was when we started doing some harmonies together, and we were like, why don't we sound so good together? Why don't we just play out and see how that goes, see what happens, and yeah, right. Like, wouldn't you
Yeah,
say?
I mean, and I remember Tyler has a couple old songs on SoundCloud, and he had the song called Fridays. And to me, it's just a really fantastic pop song. And at the time, I was writing like exceptionally folky things. I was super into Elliott Smith. And so,
There's
and that
nothing wrong
really,
with that.
no,
No need
and
to apologize.
yeah,
Depressing to
no,
say.
and I was in the early album Elliott Smith too. So I mean, I was just doing like I was just super into the folky stuff. And then Tyler around that same time put that song out on SoundCloud, and it was just such a great pop song. And I just wasn't in that space. And I said, well, you know what? And if I wanted to write pop songs, kind of get out of that phase. I said, well, originally where that 2018 stuff kind of comes in is hearing that song, and like that's okay, that's kind of the direction that I want to move into, even if I do kind of my folky stuff on the side. And that's where that really started. And then in this, let's call this the more recent iteration, like earlier this year, we had the song Slow Ride, and we had been working on that for like since 2018 off and on, and like it just felt like there was something missing with it forever. And then we took half an hour of just playing around with ideas, and then all of a sudden we just finally came up with the harmony, and it was like, okay, that's how it's supposed to sound. And it's just something that we wouldn't have, that neither of us could have done on our own. And that's really what the magic is to me. That's like to have someone that can do something that I can't do, that
Right.
I never could have dreamt up on my own. So,
but too, I think it's that thing where it's like, you've been working on it since 2018, but it took you 5 years to get to those 30 minutes where you could just bang it out and go, oh, here's how it should be.
Yep.
Now, Tyler, you were a drummer for other bands and such, correct?
Well, so I started playing drums just for Henry. Like I would never say drums are like my main instrument. Like I started playing electric guitar in bands, and then I met Henry, and he needed a drummer, and I was like, well, I can kind of do that. I can kind of play, and so that's how that happened.
Okay, so all the drummer jokes I don't need to take out.
No.
Okay, cool.
do you like Pavement at all?
Yeah, who doesn't?
All right, Tyler was Gary Young.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just
okay.
Yeah, that's how I would say. But
keep the rhythm going.
You got to have one. I mean, Mo Tucker did all right.
Yeah,
that's great.
So with the harmonies, that's always such a hard thing to figure out. How do you do it? I know like Simon and Garfunkel sat and literally looked at the other one's mouth for months to figure out how the other one formed words and so they could be imperfect. Henry, given by your reaction, you did not stare at each other for months.
Not yet.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Maybe we'll try.
Next pandemic.
Yeah, I just think the harmonies are like one thing that draws me to them is just like I feel like there's not that many bands doing it. At the same time, as much as I love Simon and Garfunkel, I really do. I love Paul Simon's songwriting, but I think I'm weary of that like Righteous Brothers, Simon and Garfunkel two-part harmony thing. I guess just because the songs that we write, I feel are like I just hear a rock band behind them, and we'll eventually get to that point where we're an acoustic duo right now. But at the same time, I guess I don't. I'm not weary of that as an influence because it's awesome. But to me, I always like. I guess what I strive for as a comp, more as arrogant as it sounds, and he knows what I'm gonna say, is like a Lennon McCartney thing.
Well, sure.
He knows how often I said that. I say that all the time. So.
Now that makes sense. I mean, that's a good. If you're gonna aim high.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Why sell yourself short?
Yeah. I mean, but I think even just listening to some of your solo stuff, there's definitely, you hear that, you hear the Beatles, you hear Squeeze, I was hearing Matthew's Sweet a lot in there. But yeah, people who just can do those harmonies perfectly, and it's almost a choir of voices, that it isn't just the two stripped down to just instruments.
And part of the reason it works too is because I am the most tenor singer ever, and he's a baritone. So like that thing just works as well too on like a very like technical voice level too. But
yeah. So it seems like pretty quickly you guys were going, oh, this works. Or did you have to write 15 crappy songs to be like, I think we got something here?
No, I actually think it was pretty fast. Yeah, it was like, because I'd come in with the song, I'm like, I got this. I don't really know what to do with this. Like, I don't really think this is just a solo song. And, you know, I'd bring it to Henry, and he'd be like, well, what if we did a harmony on this verse? What if we, you know, just figuring stuff out? And, you know, obviously, we're going to have some shitty songs. You know, that's just learning, getting
Everyone
better.
Does.
But
that's why they make B-sides.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say it happened pretty organically, though. Like, it was... we didn't take too much time like to start writing together.
And so
I still write many shitty songs.
Okay. No, I would never sell you short of that.
Well, they just live in my voice memos for all time.
Right.
Voice memos, exactly.
So do you guys come to each other with scraps of stuff? I mean, the true Lennon McCartney, or do you sit down and write together in the same room?
I'd say it's more of bringing in scraps, but I'd like to get it to us, you know, starting from nothing and, you know, building a whole song like that. You know, that'd be nice.
I think a lot of them too. It's like, at least for me, it's I come in with something, and you know, maybe it's a verse, a chorus, and a bridge that I'm just okay with, and then, I mean, and that song could be a solo song, and it'd probably be fine. But I mean, there's one song in particular that we have called Backseat, and that was like a fine demo that I did by myself. And then I just remember Tyler just totally took that and like added a bunch of lyrics and changed them. I mean, lyrics I didn't feel strongly about, but that he improved a ton. And then there's this sort of, I don't even know what to call it, an outro chorus kind of variation at the end where we do like a unison thing. And it's it's really just the making each other better and making each other's songs better. I feel like that's kind of where we're at. And I too would like to eventually get to the point where, you know, it's the Lennon McCartney, at least in early days, face to face kind of throwing lines back and forth. And that certainly happens sometimes, but it's really the improving each other's songs and again, doing the things that we can't do on our own. So I really love.
So obviously, to reference the Beatles and some of these other bands, you're talking about groups that are known for their studio work. Yes. And that they really put all their effort into making these records. I'm assuming Brian Wilson must pop up every once in a while in your.
This guy loves Brian Wilson.
I do. I really do.
I could hear that.
That is a massive compliment.
But like that, you know, that you want to hear that Van Dyke Parks arrangement of a, you know, orchestra behind you.
Yeah.
But have you what? I don't know. Does playing these songs on just acoustic guitars? Are you acoustic? Are you electric?
Just right the two now, you guys. Yeah, it's just like an acoustic duo. But like we'd like to get in a studio and make like more of a rock record. You know, make it more real, like rock and roll. And yeah, we want to make a full band.
I definitely want to get to that point, and I do think
electric.
I am like. I write like 95% of my songs on acoustic. And then, but I do think there's something to be said about in a songwriting sense that if the song still has power on an acoustic guitar, then it's probably a great song. I mean, you can really deconstruct most of the best songs ever written just on an acoustic guitar, and it will still have the same power. I think that's a pretty good test of how good your song is.
Definitely. And are you guys already kind of being like, man, if we get a Mellotron on this thing, sky's the limit, or is it
I
much
am.
more like
Maybe him not so much, but
right?
Yeah.
Not to put the cart before the horse, but like, are you guys already in your minds arranging these things? I mean, like, man, once we add a,
Absolutely.
good
Yeah.
bass.
I
and-
am.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you're playing at Summit. How many shows have you guys done? I mean, you've been together for a while. Have you taken this dog and pony show on the road? And I'm not asking you to name who's the dog and who's the pony.
Thanks for
have you
me.
done?
Thanks.
Yeah.
How many? Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we really haven't played out many times. We've done a good amount of open mics. I'd say we've had maybe two or three real shows,
Yeah.
and yeah, the Summit will be probably our fourth show. playing
And
together.
Is that of sort of your own accord, or your own decisions? Like, we want to just practice this stuff and get it there, or you kind of, is it post COVID and all of that nonsense?
a little bit is just, I mean, honing the craft of like harmony singing is like
Mhm.
that's definitely a different thing than just performing by
Because that's
yourself.
either really good or it's not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you have
yes.
to
You can't
really
half-ass it.
know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, I also think that we really want to have like a catalog of songs to be able to show the world. We don't want to play the same 5 songs over and over again. So just keep writing and keep kind of getting better at the harmony singing.
But I think the goal is to definitely play out more,
Hmm.
and we want to put out some music, which we're in the process of just like starting to just record some of our own demo tracks and get those down.
So do you know what you're playing at Summit yet, or are you this guy's, or is the the set list undefined, because who knows what you guys are going to write tomorrow or tonight?
I'd say we have a good idea, right?
Yeah, a little bit of
like,
both too.
yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I hope we have a couple new songs by then too, but there's also ones that we still haven't played live that are done and ready to go.
And I'm assuming you've got some bangers that are going to go over well live.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Some bangers, baby.
I mean, I guess you'd be terrible musicians and terrible self promoters if you're like, nah, they're all kind of
Actually,
suck.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. So you're starting to put this stuff down. Are you looking towards getting into a studio, or are you just trying to, like you said, build up your stockpile of stuff?
Well, it's expensive.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm in the process of like finally finishing an EP solo right now, and I did it like full works, like traveled to record and mix and master and everything. So I'm a little bit weary of the DIY recording because I know the results you can get by going to a studio. At the same time, there's mixing engineers out there that are wizards and that can make anything sound radio ready. So that's certainly a possibility too.
Mhm.
Maybe even a little bit of a mix of both. We certainly have decent microphones. That's
Yeah.
half the battle.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think just recording some of our own tracks too, and trying to get an idea of how we want to record that, because that's important too. Just going into a studio, knowing how, being able to record to a metronome and doing all that.
Yeah.
I think there's still a good amount of ways to go before we get in the studio.
I mean, and it could be the Brian Wilson in me too, but I
Yeah.
also think there's something to be said about being the one to put the paint on the canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I mean, you certainly you should think about your arrangements and what you're doing production wise with your own stuff. But like I also think that it's interesting the choices that you can make that perhaps someone else wouldn't make. I think that's kind of an interesting thing that I might be interested in doing. And again, maybe even in kind of a mix of both. Maybe
Mhm.
do our vocals, in the basement or whatever, and then have someone record the drums professionally or something like that. But
Right. So you want to really craft your own 20-something symphonies to God? Is that what you're saying?
Someday,
So it's
when I
a-
can afford, trust me, when I can afford the symphony, that's gonna happen. I can't help myself.
And for more information on the Summit Indie Fest happening September 30th, check out their website, summitindiefest.com.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website at rockandrollgradschool.com. And don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thank you, good night, and may all your favorite bands stay together.